everybody, this is Dr. Nigro with a Physics Fundamentals screencast. This screencast is going to look at objects that are on inclined planes and how friction can impact the motion of those objects. All right, so I have two pictures here. We're going to look at two different situations. We're going to look at what happens when an object slides down an inclined plane, and then we're going to look at what happens when it is pushed isn't the best word, but we'll talk about that when we get there. But when it moves up the inclined plane, let's think about it that way. All right, so remember, inclined planes are a little strange because you have to split the gravitational force because it points straight down, but the normal force, which opposes gravitational force, normally is perpendicular to the surface. So they do not sit equal and opposite of one another. So because of that, we need to take our gravitational force and split it into its two components. We have the downward y component of our gravitational force, and then we have our x component. All right, and remember, the incline has a specific angle. Here it's 25 degrees, but this is also known as theta. All right, and that angle sits right here in my triangle that adds my two components up to that resultant value. All right, so this is what our inclined plane problem forces look like. Now we need to draw a free body force diagram. All right, I'm going to move this. This is going to be in the way. Let's put it over there. All right, so let's assume that I have my toy box right here. All right, I know that above or supporting that toy box is my normal force, but opposite is not the gravitational force itself, but the y component of that gravitational force. So if the toy box is remaining on the surface of that inclined plane, these two forces will be equal and opposite. All right. Also working due to gravity is the gravitational force x component, and that's going to point down the ramp. All right, you can see that in my diagram right here. Okay, now because the object is sliding down the ramp, all right, the motion is downward, which means our frictional force is going to oppose that motion. So it will point up the ramp, if you want to think of it that way. All right, now I don't know whether these two forces are equal but opposite unless I know a little bit more about the situation. If they are equal and opposite, then my object should be sliding down that incline at a constant velocity. If instead the friction is greater than that gravitational component or that x component of gravity, then we're going to see the box moving but slowing down. And then if our gravitational force is greater than friction, then we're going to see the box moving down but speeding up. All right, so let's talk about signs. All right, so we've designated uphill as positive and downhill as negative. So if we write our F net equations for the perpendicular motion, it's going to be equal to our normal force plus that y component of gravity. All right, if instead we look at our parallel forces, the parallel to the motion, all right, we're going to have our force due to gravity's x component, and then we're going to have our force due to friction. All right, keep in mind these two pieces, we have to look back at the triangle. All right, so I'm going to put them in the middle because it's the same for both. The force due to gravity for the y component is going to be equal to Fg times the cosine of that angle. All right, that's a little different than the other vector problems we've worked, but that's because of the way the triangle is situated. All right, if we look instead at the x component, we're again going to need the force due to gravity, and then we'll multiply that by the sine of the angle. So these formulas are vital to solving these problems because we need to plug them in down in our FNet equations. All right, now one thing to keep in mind when it comes to our frictional force, we know that the frictional force is equal to the coefficient of friction times the normal force. All right, and in this case, the normal force is not equal to Fg, it's instead equal to that y component. All right, so when we solve for that frictional force, we need to remember to use Fg times the cosine of theta. All right, so make sure you remember that. That's going to be different from some of our other situations. All right, So now let's look at our free body force diagram for an object that is pushed up or somehow is sliding up the hill. It does happen. If something is rolling down a ramp and then goes up another ramp, it could be moving upward. All right. So again, a lot of this looks the same. All right. We're going to have our gravitational force pointing down. We're going to have our normal force pointing up. All right, we're going to split that gravitational force into its two components. All right, so we'll have our gravitational y component and we will have our gravitational x. All right, and then our angle theta will be up in this corner. All right, so that looks exactly like the situation where it slides down. The place where things get different is when you draw the free body force diagram. All right, because we need to move friction. All right, so here's my toy box. All right, I've got my support force, normal force, opposed by the y component of gravity, and those are going to be equal and opposite. All right, we know that the x component of gravity is pointing downhill. All right, this time, because the motion is uphill, friction is going to oppose the motion, so the friction's also going to be downhill. And so that's where we see a variation from something sliding down the hill. Okay, so for signs, we're going to have a negative sign and a negative sign here. So we're going to see that the F net for the motion is going to be negative. There's no way around it, which means the acceleration will be negative. So if we're moving in a positive direction but with negative acceleration, we should be slowing down, which is what we see for a box that you push up the hill. All right, if we come down to our F net equations, our F net perpendicular is exactly the same as this situation. So it's going to look just like this. All right, our F net parallel is also going to look the same. We're going to have the gravitational piece plus the frictional piece. The difference is the signs. All right, for our sliding down, we had a negative value for the x component of gravity and a positive value for the frictional force. Here we have a negative value for that gravitational piece and a negative value for that frictional force, which means F net has to be negative and your acceleration value is going to be negative. Okay? All right, so again, you're going to need to keep in mind what the frictional force stands for in this case, and it's going to be the coefficient times the normal force, and that the normal force is opposing the y component of gravity, not Fg by itself. If you use Fg, you're going to miss these problems. So you have to remember these two formulas. Okay? All right, so we're going to try a couple problems. So let's slide down to our first problem. All right, I'm not going to redo any of the force diagrams because they're right up above. All right, but if you would like to, just for some practice, please do so. All right, so let's see. We have a block that's 6 kilograms. It starts from rest at the top of a ramp with an incline of 30 degrees. The block slides down the ramp with an acceleration of 0.25 meters per second squared. What is the coefficient of kinetic friction? All right, so we're going to be looking for that kinetic friction value. All right, so a couple things to keep in mind when we're setting up our problem. The block is sliding down the ramp, so the motion is in the negative direction, all right? But the problem tells us our acceleration value is positive, all right? So that tells me that the object is slowing down as it reaches the bottom, all right? So we are slowing down, okay? All right, if we move back over to our F net equation, it's going to be equal to the x component of gravity plus our frictional piece. And this is going to be kinetic friction because the object is in motion. All right, so I'm going to start plugging in mass, gravity, acceleration values just so I can see what everything's going to look like. So for F net, I'm going to say the mass times the acceleration. All right, for Fgx, it's negative, and it's going to be the mass times gravity times the sine of our angle. And then for our frictional force, it's going to be positive because it's going to point uphill. Maybe I should put those in just to remind you. All right, since the box is moving downward. All right, so that means it's going to be positive, and it's going to be equal to our coefficient times the mass times gravity times the cosine of our angle. All right, so this piece right here, don't forget, is F normal, which is equal to the gravitational y component. That's where that piece is coming from. All right, this piece is just the gravitational x component. Okay, all right, so if I look, I see mass in all three pieces, so I can cancel the mass out. You do not have to, right? You can leave it in and it will eventually cancel itself out, but I don't know, it seems to make things a little simpler for me. All right, now I'm going to have 0.25 meters per second squared for my acceleration, a negative value, and I'm going to have 10 meters per second squared times the sine of 30 degrees, and then plus I'm going to have my kinetic friction coefficient, which is unknown, times 10 meters per second squared times the cosine of 30 degrees. All right, so I plug things into my calculator, and I get a negative 5, and this is going to be meters per second squared here, plus my unknown coefficient times 8.66 meters per second squared. All right, so I'm going to move my negative 5 to the other side, so I have 5.25 meters per second squared, and that's going to be equal to my unknown coefficient times 8.66 meters per second squared. All right, so I'm going to divide both sides by 8.66, and I find that that coefficient is equal to 0.61. Okay, so that's one type of problem. All right, let's look at another one. Oops, sorry. All right, a force is applied to a block, giving it a velocity of 2.5 meters per second to move up a 1.25 meter ramp with an incline of 25 degrees. What force must have been applied to the block so that it comes to rest at the top of the ramp? All right, so let's see here. Let's start out with some information. All right, so I've got V initial, V final, acceleration, time, change in position. All right, so my initial velocity is 2.5 meters per second. All right, it's going to come to rest. I don't know my acceleration. I don't know my time, but I do know that the ramp has a length of 1.25 meters. Okay, so the first thing to do is to figure out what the acceleration of the block was as it moved up that ramp. And I can do that with the information that I've been given here. I'm going to use that v squared equals v initial squared plus 2 times a times change in position. All right, so 0, we're going to have 2.5 meters per second. Oops, not squared yet. Squared plus 2 times a times 1.25 meters. All right, so I plug everything in, and I find that I have an acceleration of negative 2.5 meters per second squared. So that's the acceleration of the object as it goes from 2.5 meters per second to 0 meters per second. Okay, now that I know the acceleration, I can figure out the net force that's acting on that object using Newton's second law. So that net force is going to be equal to 8 kilograms times negative 2.5 meters per second squared. All right, so the net force acting on the object is negative 20 newtons. All right, but I still haven't gotten to the answer yet. I need my applied force. All right, so F net is going to be equal to the gravitational force, X component, the frictional force, and this time a third force, the applied force. All right, that's a little different than what we've seen before. All right, but it's not a big deal. All right, we know that the X component is pointing downhill, so that's negative. All right, the block is being pushed up, which means the frictional force opposes that motion and also points downhill. And then my applied force will be the positive force pushing the block up the hill. All right, so let's see. My net force is negative 20 newtons, and that's going to be equal to negative 80 newtons for Fg times the sine of 25 degrees. All right, so that's my Fgx component plus negative force due to friction, which is going to be 0.25 for my coefficient times 80 newtons, which is Fg times this, not the sine, sorry, cosine of 25 degrees, and then my unknown applied force. All right, so negative 20 newtons. I'm going to have a negative 33.8 newtons for that gravitational x component. And then I'm going to have a negative 18.1 newtons for my frictional force, and then my applied force. So if I move the 33.8 and the 18.1 to the other side, I find that I need to have applied a force of around 31.9 newtons to get the box to move in this way up that ramp. Okay, so those are just two examples of how to work inclined plane problems. The key really is understanding how to draw these diagrams, particularly that component split of FG. If you can get that correct, and then keep in mind which side of your free body force diagram friction needs to be on, you should be all set. It's nothing different than what we have done before. Okay?